Twin Falls was a very small town in December of 1904. Its streets were laid out straight and true, grubbed clear of sagebrush, and some 75 houses had been built since town lots were first sold in August.
By mid-December, there were 68 children of school age, which with the little ones made about 100. Where there are children at Christmas time, there must be Christmas observance. Enthusiasm ran high, perhaps to mask the homesickness which had threatened most of them in this dust-ridden land. We must have a Christmas tree, they agreed, but where can it be found?
For miles around, there was nothing but sagebrush. Dull, gray-green sagebrush, a symbol of desolation and dust. On the foothills, some 25 miles distant, could be seen dark spots of juniper, but not a pine or a spruce tree within 50 or 60 miles. 25 miles to the junipers seemed a long journey when men were so busy and teams at such a premium, but there must be a proper Christmas tree. So the women set about to find someone willing to take the day off and drive to the Rock Creek foothills to secure one.
2 young men, Sam Hamilton and Fred Eichhoff, volunteered to go and were instructed to get the largest, the tallest, the most beautiful juniper on the hillside. 2 days before Christmas, the young men set out for the foothills, equipped to stay overnight if necessary, in order to get the best Christmas tree those eager children had ever seen. As their team made its way, Fred began to speculate about the best Christmas tree. The juniper is a good tree, all right, if you can't get any better, but I wonder...
"That's just it," returned Sam contemplatively. "That's just what I was thinking. It seems inappropriate to bring in one of those mountain trees for our desert celebration. A sagebrush would be more appropriate." True. The sagebrush in the valley stood proudly straight and tall, with the roots seated deeply in the rich volcanic ash which overtops the lava beds. They grew to giant proportions for a sagebrush, some 6, 8, or even 10 feet tall.
Soon the conversation took another trend, and the two waxed into an argument about the relative value of crops to be grown on the new land. About 16 miles south of town, the road dipped sharply into a gulch. "What say we let the horses drink?" Fred said, pulling them to a stop on the brink of the stream. Sam, unconcerned about the horses just at that moment, was looking intently up the gulch. "There she is," he announced with an air of finality. "There she is." "Who is?" countered Fred. Fred looked around. Sam was already beside the tree, a giant sagebrush fully 8 feet tall with a spread somewhat greater than its height. "You wouldn't dare bring that thing in as a Christmas tree," laughed Fred. "We would never be able to get out of town fast enough." Sam chuckled. Then he walked back to the buggy and took out the saw and the axe.
After dark that night, they set the giant sagebrush in one corner of the newly completed schoolhouse. Fred was right about what the women would say. "Who ever heard of anything so ridiculous? Spoiling Christmas is going a bit too far," they said indignantly. But they were pioneer women in the truest sense. They recognized the need for meeting the situation. After lacing strings of gleaming white popcorn and crimson cranberries over the branches, they began to appraise the tree more charitably.
"After all, it is beautifully symmetrical, and how those berries show upon the gray background." Candy and nuts for the children were tied on in bags made of gay paper napkins. Oranges and apples hung from the sturdy branches. When the candle holders were snapped on and the red, white, and green candles set in place, none was left who did not admire the tree.
Everybody came that night. Men, women, and children trudged through the ankle-deep dust of those straight new streets. Santa Claus, impersonated by Charlie Tripp, wore Dr. Cloudcheck's great furry overcoat and cap, making jokes while distributing candy, nuts, and gifts to the children. He told them about his fine team of 24 jackrabbits, togged out in silver harness and jingle bells. Even those too old to believe nodded a promise to close their eyes and listen for the sound of his bells as the rabbits whisked him away to the next group of waiting children.
It was late when the last member of the committee closed the schoolhouse door, leaving the great sagebrush alone in the warm, fragrant darkness. The great round Christmas moon cast a broad beam of silver light through the window, tracing in fantastic outlines the sparkling decorations on those unaccustomed gray branches. This sparkling, fantastically beautiful thing was a common sagebrush, glorified by the magical hands of the people of Twin Falls.